It's Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name is Karen.
My name is Etai. We're so happy to have you back here in our studio, which is our couch.
Which is my house. Of course, over the moon, I would say. We are delighted to be here. And we've got a lot to talk about today. I have a feeling, Etai, this might be a long episode.
Who knows? Let's see.
Let's see.
So something that is happening right now in Israel is that for the millionth time, Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister, is, suspected of bribery.
He's been indicted for allegations of, bribery and fraud and all this shady stuff. But as you've said, this is his 15th rodeo?
Honestly, I don't even count it anymore.
Wow, it's full on. And yeah, so I've been reading up on it because I'm a bit of a politics fiend. So I like to look up, really avant-garde publications like The Guardian. I know, very intelligent. But yeah, he's in a deep pool of shit, apparently. But what's been so fun and fascinating is looking at what he has been charged with doing. So it's really glitzy, glam, tacky, low-grade bribery. So apparently he's accepted up to $100,000 of gifts, which again, it's not millions of dollars. It's not a lot. It's obviously outrageously terrible, but it is, not huge numbers, but some of the gifts that he has been accepting from, millionaires and dodgy people include cigars, champagne, and Mariah Carey tickets.
And why are we telling you this? Not because we decided to change our vibe and become a political podcast.
No.
Because Bibi Netanyahu is a Libra. And what is more Libran than getting bribery, which is, the lifestyle of the rich and the famous, like champagne and Mariah Carey tickets. It's the most Libra thing ever.
And it's so 20 years ago. It's not even progressive stuff. So it's just cigars. Honestly, why would you bribe someone with cigars? It's so old white dude vibes.
Don't smoke cigars anymore. Bribe them with,
iPhone.
A new iPhone or
new
vitamins.
Kicks.
Yeah, something progressive, like vitamins or kombucha or women's rights. I don't know.
Yeah.
I share with Bibi Netanyahu a feature that is, not everyone has it. It is triangular eyebrows.
Oh.
Yeah, so not everyone has it, which is a sentence said by Mariah Carey, which is, it's all tied in together because Bibi got Mariah Carey tickets, and Mariah Carey is an Aries, and she known to be very diva shady, kind of she can shade people very well as an Aries, a little bit below the belt, kind of. So when she was on American Idol with Nicki Minaj as Sagittarius, they used to have these fights and throw shade at each other as judges. And one day, one of the contestants sang a Mariah Carey song, I think it was Hero, and Nicki Minaj dissed it and said, I don't know about the song choice, not sure about it.
Nicki Minaj, she's really involved in a lot of
Beef.
arguments and beef. It's really...
She's a Sag. They can't step outside of their house without hurting someone's feelings.
She should be above that. She's so talented. She doesn't need to diminish herself.
It comes with a sign.
Yeah.
It comes with a sign. Anyway, Mariah, as response to Nicki's shade, Mariah said, honey, I think you did an amazing job. This song is a number one song. Not everyone has that. Shading Nicki that she doesn't have a number one song.
Oh, God.
So same with my eyebrows, my triangular eyebrows that me, my dad, and Bibi Netanyahu share. Not everyone has that. But it made me think, and we kind of thought together about being a prime minister, and then you said, I can't wait for you to become the prime minister in Israel. And then I realized I'm not going to be a prime minister. I'm going to be a pride minister. I'm going to be the first gay Aries pride minister in the world, starting with the Middle East. And I think being a prime minister, it means so much to me because it's going to be so different to all the other prime minister. Yes, I will still be a man. I will still be a male prime minister, but I will be a pride minister. And what will that look like?
Well, do you think it will involve like Mariah Carey tickets and cigars, or like how would you hold yourself? Like how would you promote yourself as the prime minister of Israel?
So first
of all the countries, you know,
thank you for
ultimate
asking.
pinkwashing.
So definitely the pinkwashing is going to go strong when I become prime minister. I think that firstly I will go into every conference, like every, how do you call it, with the like a press conference. I will go into any of these ones, voguing my way into the pod. And then every time I finish my speech, I will do a death drop. I'll just like and then also I think I'll start every speech with like saying, hello citizens of Israel, this is your prime minister and I'm here to serve you some hot tea. I think it will be really good for morale.
Yeah, and how do you think, like, I guess Pride Week is already a thing that's celebrated hugely over there. So, like, I feel like you would just grow that movement.
I know, but I also think we can monetize Pride Week with other prominent figures. Like, I think there's no way we're going to do Pride Week without Justin Trudeau. You know, he's so hot, he's Canadian. I'm going to tighten the relationship with Israel and Canada just so I can have a meeting with Justin Trudeau, because why not? Also maybe Putin, like I know he's like basically a bad person, but I know there's an audience for that kind of look in the gay community.
Shirtless Putin.
And I think, you know, I will always be able to draw from pop culture to make my, you know, you don't have to be so serious when you talk about unemployment, right? Like if I'm in an interview and they say, Mr. Prime Minister,
Ethan, Mr. Prime Minister, excuse me, what do you think about unemployment rates?
I will just say, listen, you want a hot body? You want a Bugatti? You better work, bitch. You want a Lamborghini? You want to sip martinis? You better work, bitch. Now get to work, bitch. And I think, you know, drawing that inspiration from people like Britney, like Mariah, and the gay community could bring hope and peace to the Middle East.
And like increase consumerism and capitalism.
Which is great. Let's not forget, I was also introduced to the term platinum gay, which is apparently something that I am. And a platinum gay is a gay that hasn't touched a vagina, not even at birth. So I was born C-section. So I'm a platinum gay, and I think if anyone deserves to be a prime minister, the first prime minister should be a platinum gay.
Oh my gosh, you're already dividing and conquering. So like once you break that glass ceiling and you could be, as you said, the first gay prime minister of Israel. So you're already saying that only platinum gays should have the right to be prime ministers.
Listen,
I thought this was a utopian society.
Not at all. I'm still going to maintain the
power and privilege.
Exactly. I'm still going to maintain the power and privilege that comes with, you know, me being a male prime minister, but I will be a prime minister. So no one needs to worry. Like everything will still stay the same. I'll still get bribery, probably the same as Bibi, probably
100%.
Minus the cigars, but you know, champagne and Mariah Carey tickets, why not?
Yeah.
I'll still maintain the same level of corruption, but it'll just be a bit different. Just the agenda will be a bit different.
I liked your suggestion when we were talking about this earlier about shirtless Mondays being almost like a national holiday, and
definitely,
you know, you maybe soldiers being, you know, shirtless Monday for soldiers there, and really kind of taking that agenda to wash over a lot of the shady things going on there.
Definitely.
And yeah, fascinating. There was a moment as well when Bibi famously presented to, I think it was the United Nations, and he brought a big whiteboard or a big piece of paper with a cartoon bomb on it.
Yes.
It looks like a cartoon from, you know, the 1940s or something like that. And he said, you know, pointing to it, and he's saying, this is what Iran has, and this is what we don't want them to have, like very simplistic, straight to the point, ridiculous arguments. And I feel like you could also go into the United Nations, you would descend from the roof wearing like just something outrageous, and you would do your drop.
I'll do my death drop, and then maybe I can open that illustration and I could have like a picture of Britney in 2007. I'll be like, you know, this is a hard time for us, and then I'll bring pictures from Britney in her comeback, or like from the Womanizer video, and I'll be like, this is where we're going. This is the path that I am. Your prime minister is going to lead you to.
You'd really be everybody's prime minister. Wow.
Well, not everybody, but
a gal can dream. Gals can dream. very exciting. And of course it is Pride Week at the moment, is it? No. It's coming up.
It's coming up. It's now the season.
And it's Mardi Gras in Sydney as well, and in Australia, which has been really exciting. And excitedly for me, I know that not a lot of people are watching Lindsay Lohan's Beach Club in Mykonos, which is a reality show on MTV in Australia and across the world. You can watch it for free online, so mtv.com.au, you can hit it up. Now, her recent episode was actually all about pride, and you know, in thinking about pride, not only your pride as a human being, but also talking about LGBTIQ pride, the whole thing. And that episode has just opened my heart and opened my everything about how important some of these themes are. So for those who haven't heard me talk about this show endlessly, it's basically Lindsay Lohan's reclamation of a beach island in Mykonos. She suffered an abuse there from her ex-boyfriend. He hit her and she decided, bitch, please, I'm going to open up my own club on this island and reclaim this space. The actual title of the show is Living My Boss Life, which I think is great. Now, for those who've been following Lindsay Lohan's trajectory, it hasn't been the easiest one, and no one really knows how she's actually going at the moment. There's a couple of warning signals there, but it's an amazing show, and this recent episode dealt with some really meta issues. So there's a huge fight between one of the participants who's bisexual, a guy, with one of the gay men, and the gay guy is saying to him, like, it's so weird that you're bisexual. Why would a gay man want to be with you if you're also into women? And bisexual man gets really, like, upset, and he's like, you know, this is like why, you know, we can't fit into, you know, gay and straight spaces, and it's, you know, you're actually like erasing my identity. And it was just really, really full on. And of course, like at the end of the show, like Lindsay Lohan ends up doing her Lilo dance, and they have like a big party, and everyone's wearing colours and glitter, and, you know, there's also a straight guy in the show who's really homophobic to one of the other men who identifies as straight, but he keeps saying, oh, he's really, you know, only flirts with men. And this guy says to him, why are you so obsessed with my sexuality? And I was like, yeah, like, why are you being so homophobic? So there's so many themes in this episode around bi erasure, around homophobia, around safe spaces, and it really opened my eyes. And Lindsay Lohan is just navigating all of this seamlessly, and she's really on top of it all.
There's so much to unpack from that one episode. I feel like I haven't watched it because I did watch the first episode, and I don't know, like, I didn't want to continue, which is weird because I am the audience for that show, you know, Lindsay Lohan and reality TV show. Like, I don't think I could ask for more. But I think the thing you said about her coming back to the place where she was assaulted and retelling that story of that place is so powerful. And again, we know already that she's a Cancerian, which is one, very fitting because they are a very home, like, it is important to them that their environment will be home. And I think going and turning something that is a negative experience place to a home, a happy home, and she keeps saying that, I know, from the first episode.
Yeah, she keeps saying this has to be happy and we need to be kind to each other, and she doesn't care if the bartenders that she's hired are professional or good. She cares if they're being nice, and she wants to give them another chance. At one stage, she actually saves a crab from being killed to be eaten, which is what crabs are there for, and she rescues the crab, or it's a lobster, and she puts it into the ocean in Mykonos, and she's just a true humanitarian because she's a Cancerian. That's her symbol. And yeah, she's completely dysregulated and all over the place and unprofessional and does not know how to run a business, clearly. But she has a lot of heart. She's very protective of herself. She's very protective of her staff. She also has created a new method of investigation, which I think is super smart. So she wants to get the tea or find out what's going on amongst her staff members, because she sensed that they all hate each other and they're all fighting and being rude. So she gets two, I think, 5-year-old children to sit with...
Five?
Yeah, I think they're 5 or 6, I don't know. 2 5-year-old children to sit with her and her business partner, Panos from Greece, who's amazing.
He's also a Cancerian, shocking, because he's so aggressive and he's such an Aries.
Oh, God, he's so full on. I guess the only thing I have in common with Panos is his desire to wear sunglasses indoors whilst talking.
Doesn't he also have good eyebrows like you do?
Look, it's been said, it's not something I identify with, but yeah, I have some eyebrows. They used to be 1 and now they're 2.
Great.
But yeah, so she gets 2 kids on her panel and she investigates or she interviews all the bartenders and she asks the kids if they think that what they're saying is true, because she says, quote unquote, like, kids never lie and they can spot a liar straight away. And it's just terrifying and horrifying. But I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty good idea. It's probably a bit abusive to the kids.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, she was a kid that was, used for her talent. So
100%.
I feel like if anyone has the right to use kids for their own benefit, professional benefit, is Lindsay Lohan.
Look, the beautiful thing at the end of the episode, 2 of the bisexual participants, a male and a female, end up dancing to Lindsay Lohan's song Rumours for the Pride party at their Mykonos Beach Club, and Lindsay is just so happy. She feels like she's truly at home. She's dancing all the dance moves from the video clip. So it just feels like this whole series and episode is touching on themes of what it means to be visible, what it means to speak your truth, and what it means to solve that by talking and through dialogue. Because in the end, the guys that had the fight about sexual identity, they ended up having a chat about how much they do care about each other, and they came back to being friends. And I think that's a real beautiful lesson from this episode.
It's amazing, that story. And also, I think the parallel between Lindsay coming back, owning that place, and that bisexual guy, and like the bisexual people in this show saying that story that people have been telling about bisexual people is not true. We spoke about on our Sex and the City episode about, like, what's the quote that Carrie says about being bisexual?
It's on the road to Gay Town?
It's a stop on the road, on the way to Gay Town. And it is a stigma that has been for so long in the gay community, in the world, but also more shockingly in the queer community, that bisexual people are either afraid to admit that they're gay or they're not even.
And even the bullying happening to the guy who is straight, Aristotle is his name, and he's really handsome. I think he has his own sock business.
Yes.
He sells socks. He's never wearing anything else, just the socks. But even all the stigma directed towards him because he is friendly with men and he, is engaging with male patrons of the club and just having fun and being completely comfortable with his sexuality and how he is. And I just love that he burns that guy back going like, dude, what's your problem? Like, why is this such an issue for you? And I just think the whole episode deals with all these delicate issues, which I'm very surprised at because it's quite a trashy show.
And at the end of the episode, the straight, aggressive guy you told me is doing a drag show.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's a happy ending.
And Lindsay was smiling from ear to ear. Even
That's
though
amazing.
she struggles to smile and feel, she was so happy.
I think also this podcast, I would say, is 40% of the time we do talk about daddies and daddy issues and dads and fathers. And one of Lindsay's incredible songs is Daughter to Father.
Oh my God.
So Lindsay, as many of us, had, a
tumultuous
relationship with her father, and on one of her songs, which is so raw and real and open, and as we say, Cancerian, all the feelings. As I said to someone who came to our office this week and said, I'm a Cancerian, I told her, I'm sorry for all of your feelings. And she just knew what I was talking about. But Lindsay has a song called Daughter to Father, and if we're talking about reclaiming the narrative or, coming back to recreate a story, she talks in this song a lot about how she wanted to fix herself to be loved by her dad or to be noticed by her dad. So she's saying, I'm broken, but I'm hoping. I'm crying, but a part of me is dying. And she's saying, I would wear all your old clothes just to kind of like I dream of a you that is a different you. It's like she's not gonna give up on the idea of, still having that relationship and still recreating a story for herself. And I think it's amazing about Lindsay and a lot of pop stars and people that have been through hardship, that they relentlessly trying to retell their story and recreate the narrative and harness the narrative and say, you're not going to write my story, I'm going to write my story.
Like the song Rumors, all these rumors about me. And even in the show, one of the girls who got dumped on the show, sorry, spoiler alert, even though no one's watching this show but me, the girl was like, why am I going to listen to someone that was in Mean Girls like 10 years ago? What does she have to teach me? And like, Lindsay was like, you are so fired. Get out of my... She goes, get out. Like, why are you still speaking? Just leave. And Lindsay will give you a second chance if you've got heart and soul. She also fired one of the girls because she was, I think, too Christian. She was like, get out of here, girlfriend. Go back to church or something like that. So she's pretty all over the place, but that relationship to home and family and community, you can tell that she's so desperately still trying to recreate that. And it's not as if the show reflects positively on her. The whole time she talks about how she has had a hard upbringing. It's been hard for her to be in the limelight. She was assaulted by her ex-boyfriend. People try and take things from her and she has to constantly protect herself. So she's quite honest about the struggles that she has had, but there's something... She's also just so happy sometimes. And she's created a space that she's really proud of, a brand, in fact.
And then you have Paris Hilton, the Aquarius, going around town saying that in 2006 or 5, when they were in the car with Britney, she didn't want to have her there. And she's like she recreated a scene. She got a Britney lookalike. She was sitting... Everyone, please go watch it. I know it's mean towards Lindsay, and we are... a Lindsay support.
Lindsay positive podcast.
Lindsay positive podcast, and everyone positive podcast that has been murdered by the media countless times. But I will give it to Paris. She, as an Aquarius, knows how to throw some shade. As one of my students said the other week, girl, how you're not cold with all that shade? She's very, very Aquarius mean. Kind of like, I can hurt you to an extent that I don't care what it is because I can't feel any emotion. She recreated a scene. She got a Britney lookalike and she put it on her story and she said, hi, I'm here recreating one of the most iconic scenes. It's me and Britney, but I didn't want to have the other person here from that night. So I got, and then she turns the camera and you can see it's a Queen Elizabeth lookalike. She's like, I got this Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England, which I think is a shade specific to Lindsay. I didn't research to know enough what's the connection between the two. Maybe it's a commenting about Lindsay's weird accent that she developed over the years.
But doesn't Britney Spears also use an English-British accent?
Yeah. So I think it's a coping mechanism. Maybe someone should research like teen celebrities going mad. Off the rails, developing a British accent, because it is, or we already have two. So that's a statistic right there.
Shit.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to know when people are reclaiming their narrative or just being bullies, because Paris is also then saying this is what really happened, but is she just being mean? I don't know.
Well, apparently there was a big deal back then with Paris and Lindsay. Lindsay got police to Paris's house, and like the story as told by Paris is Lindsay fucked my family over with something that is not known and I will not talk about it, and Lindsay is saying like, I don't understand what she's talking about. Honestly, we know where my loyalty lies. My loyalty lies with air signs. My loyalty lies with
Paris,
with the Aquarius, the Librans, and the Geminis. Ooh. If you're a Pisces, a Cancerian, and a Scorpio, I will have to do some research before I believe to anything you say.
Look, I believe that stuff would have happened to Paris, and I'm sure Lindsay was involved, but I don't feel like Lindsay's intention would have been anything more than just to feel a part of something, but maybe I'm missing that other side to her personality. She seems terrifying. And I guess look, I've spoken a little bit in the last couple of weeks on the podcast about my own narrative and participation in an art show. So I spoke about I've been flown to Sydney, my favourite spiritual place. I love it there. I was flown there on, not Qantas, it was Virgin flights. So it wasn't that nice. But I was participating in a art show which is based on a situationship that I was in with a Cancerian artist. So the show has been released, so I'm really excited about it. For anyone that wants to check it out, the name of the show is 36,000 Words Under a Gemini Moon. Wow. Because apparently in the text messages between me and the situationship, there was 36,000 words exchanged.
Wow.
And it was during a Gemini moon that breakup and those discussions were happening. I, having participated in the show where I read the text messages and she reads her text messages and we reenact the whole thing, I have come to the conclusion that 35,500 of those words were my words. And of course, under a Gemini moon, like we all know, Geminis are ruled by Mercury. We are chatty. We don't shut up. And for us, silence is death. There is no distinction. If you don't talk to me, if you ignore me, if you don't respond to my text messages, you may as well be erasing me as a human being.
Wow.
And I think that's why the Lindsay Lohan show has resonated so deeply with me, because it's about reclaiming your narrative and your identity. And so in this show, I've been credited in a few different interesting ways. So I'm credited as, I think, a collaborator or a developer of the show. I'm also credited as Karen from Tinder. And I'm also credited in another place, actually at the gallery, as, quote-unquote, a woman I briefly dated. Which was interesting. But apparently it's really good and really awesome, and I'm going to be seeing it in a couple of weeks in Sydney. So I'd love, if anyone wants to go check out the show, it's at UTS Gallery. It's called 36,000 Words Under a Gemini Moon. And I think in participating in this show, I've found it so interesting to be both the subject and the object in someone's performance piece. So I felt like, okay, well, this is my words, this is my story. But, of course, when you participate in someone else's show or their story, you sometimes don't have as much agency, or you don't know how it's going to be told. And it's something about you being done to you. But so I responded in a really Gemini classic fashion, and I'm proud to wear that banner this week. I'm not identifying as a Sagittarius anymore. I'm not identifying as an empath anymore. Just being myself. I'm a Gemini. I've got 5 million planets in Gemini, and I think we need to step up and claim that narrative. But I didn't actually even know that the exhibition was opening, but I did some stalking online and I found out the dates and what was happening. And I told my friends who were in Sydney, and Story Time with Laurie Time, our beloved Lauren, who has been on this podcast a couple of times, was there for a trade show, and she also went, and all my friends there went down to the exhibition to see me retelling this relationship, and them sending me photos of them at the show made me feel really visible and like this was my story and not just something I was a participant in. It was really beautiful for me. I guess another thing that I've been experimenting with is when you feel like you've been erased or your narrative is not yours anymore or has been taken from you or told for you, I found that sometimes my mechanism to reclaim that is to put the eyeballs emojis on people's Instagram. So sometimes you can't find the words to say, hey, I exist, or I'm a person, or remember me, poke, poke, poke. But for me, putting the eyeballs or sending someone the eyeballs in a text or putting it on their Instagram posts is my way of saying, I see you. My eyes are here and I see you. And I exist and I'm a person. And, I'm curious if anyone else out there has ever felt that their story has been taken from them or they've been made invisible, and how have you claimed that for yourself? How have you then kind of had these little small acts of resistance or rebellion in those spaces?
I totally agree and relate to what you say. And I know many of our beautiful listeners that we interact with on the Instagram are part of the queer community and are people that, first of all, I love looking at their Instagram because they're so amazing.
Oh my God,
funny.
there's everyone that is on our Instagram account is 1 million times cooler than anyone I will ever know, or anyone that I am. It is so exciting for me.
It's so exciting. And I think that I would love to hear from people's stories, how they, and it doesn't have to be like I was erased, my identity was erased, and then I did this crazy big thing, but those little things like commenting eyeballs on someone's Instagram, or I like to send a question mark. I like to just send someone like is ignoring, it's like a question mark, and like I'm still waiting for your response. I also like to do other things, but
these small acts of resistance. But my question, Etai, like similar to the Paris Lindsay feud / saga, I'm curious about when these little acts that we think are resistance or claiming our narrative become bullying or stalking or taking it too far. Because I was thinking about the snake emoji saga that was happening between Kim Kardashian and Taylor Swift. And I forget who was doing it to who. Was it the Kim Kardashian fans were putting snakes on Taylor Swift?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was... And apparently this all happened on National Snake Day.
Wow.
I knew there was a National Wombat Day, but I didn't know there was a National Snake Day. But apparently there was discussion around National Snake Day, and then all of Kim Kardashian's fans were trolling Taylor Swift with snake emojis.
Yeah.
And like part of me is like, okay, you're supporting your friend and you are showing Taylor Swift that you see her, but it can also become bullying as well.
Exactly. But I think what we are talking about is less about the other person and what you do to them. It's more about how you tell your story to yourself. And I think your eyeballs is more you reminding yourself that you are a subject that is watching something as well, and you have your own perspective of the things. It's not, it's like you saying, I am not just here as a passive person, I'm an active observer and I have thoughts about what I'm
I'm
seeing.
not just a body to be used.
Not at all.
Unless I say that's okay.
Unless it's consensual.
I mean, look, it is a beautiful piece of work, and it was amazing to participate in it, and I think everyone should go see it, and also everyone should come see it with me and Etai when we're in Sydney in a couple of weeks. And you, Etai, have some weird proclivities where you can't see half of a show, or when I told you to watch Lindsay Lohan's Pride episode, you were like, well, I can't because then I have to watch all the shows beforehand.
I know. I spoke here about my Virgo moon. People with Earth moons, tell me if you relate to this, but I need to do things in order. I need to watch one show at a time. I can't watch 5 different shows.
Yeah.
I need to watch one show at a time. If I don't understand a word that they said, I need to go back and listen again or put the subtitles on.
Yeah.
And I can't watch episode 6 of a show that I didn't watch episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the show that Karen is in is apparently around 45 minutes.
It's so long.
And it's on a loop. So I know I will have to get there and notice what time it is it right now, and kind of like plan that in 20 minutes it's going to start again. I'm going to come back here with my Coke Zero vanilla and maybe some Twizzlers and watch the whole 45 minutes. Yeah, and I'm an Aries and I have an issue. I have a beef to bring up. Because yes, it was your relationship. Yes, it was you, a Gemini, and a Cancerian's relationship. But there was also another person there, and that person is me.
It's so true. I think that if anyone has been erased or ignored in this whole saga, it has been you, Etai. You were there from day one to, the 36,000th word. I think you know the script of this whole thing better than me and her. And I know it's been hard for you, and I really appreciate your...
I was there in between the dates. I was there on some of the dates. I facilitated an icebreaker. And one time when, that person was here and we were watching a movie and I was I was a part of it, and I know I'm an Aries, and I know we're attention seekers.
It was a throuple.
I know we're attention seekers, but like objectively, I think I had an equal amount of time and energy invested in that relationship. So what I'm thinking of doing is, so the whole show is 3 screens, right? So in the middle, the screen films you two, and then on the right is just you, and on the left is just her. So what I think is, I'm going to take my iPad and I'm going to record 45 minutes of me responding to your texts and to you reading your text, and like adding, my little tidbits, or adding my feelings or my emotions. And then I'm going to put my iPad on top of the screen and just leave it there on a loop as well. Because I don't think anyone would think, oh, that's an addition. People would just think, oh, it's a 4 screen kind of piece,
I think that's an amazing idea, and I really can't wait to see that. And I thank you deeply for your participation in the whole saga. I think you should have been credited as Etai, who knew Karen from Tinder, or Etai, friends with the girl that I briefly dated. Like, I don't know, your name should be part of it.
Listen, we've been talking about reclaiming your narrative and telling your own story and being visible. I think that's my way of being visible. Is like, we talk a lot about the concept of the gay best friend. Where is the gay best friend? Where is the gay roommate? Where is he? And
you were everywhere.
I know. Oh my God. I honestly realized how obnoxious I sound this whole episode, from being the Prime Minister who keeps the order of just gay men on top, and then where is the gay man visibility? I would like, for the record, if you can't tell when someone is sarcastic, I think, like, I don't want anyone...
You're like, I am invisible. Keep me invisible.
Keep me invisible. As my auntie always said about my boyfriends, how is your really good friend doing? Never acknowledge them.
I think all your aunties must be Aries. They sound like they know how to do a sick burn.
They're just Moroccan. It comes with the country you're from. But someone's angry at the top floor. Someone just smashed something. But I really think the world is ready. As you kept on saying this week, it's really the age of Aquarius. It's really the age of Aquarius. And those stories that have been marginalized are now being told.
Yes.
And that's the vibe, I think.
This is the vibe. It's really freaking an amazing age to be in. I'm not saying it's all positive and easy. It feels like a lot of crazy revolution is happening. But I know in Australia, and it sounds like in Israel as well, bastions of power and kind of older white men are being challenged and kind of being taken down, or their authority is being questioned, and there's all this backlash around that, and it's horrifying, but it's also exciting as well, and it's really, really cool. And I think if anything, if this episode is about anything, and it's about so much, it's about people talking a bit more about what's happening for them that haven't always talked about that.
And not letting other people tell your story for you. And other people could be actual people, they could be the media, they could be people you actually know, or just, the story that society tells you about bisexual people, about women, about Lindsay Lohan, anything.
Yeah.
I would like to go back to our previous episode in which we talked about attachment and attachment styles. And I would love to, first of all, thank everyone that reached out, and we really had some comments, and people were, going on and doing that survey, which is incredible. Because, it's all about that sharing your stories with us, and us resharing them on the podcast.
Whoa!
One person, we said we don't believe in the existence of securely attached people. I really apologize about the sounds that coming from the top floor. Could not identify, and I don't want to tell...
I think there's burglars on the roof.
Yeah, literally something's happening. I hope you can still listen, because I don't know how to stop that person from doing whatever they do. So we thought that securely attached people don't exist, which is...
No, we thought they existed. Sorry, and maybe we've been making them erased and invisible.
Mindfuck.
But we we thought they just didn't listen to the podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's what we
thought
said.
they weren't our friends, or we didn't know anyone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said they don't exist, but you definitely said they just don't listen to the podcast. So I apologize to anyone that I erased, but you know what? You're securely attached. You can handle that. So someone screenshotted their result of their survey that they did, and they told them that their attachment is secure. And then she just screenshotted it and sent it to us, and she said, if you want an explanation, Pisces Venus, Capricorn Sun, and Capricorn Moon. So basically born to be a mom.
Yeah.
So there are placements that could be securely attached. And then she elaborated. So I think it's nice for our listeners to know what it feels like to be securely attached. So I asked her permission to read it, and I'm going to read it to you. So this is a sneak peek into a securely attached person's mind. Very fascinating. Ha ha ha. I thought I might have been avoidant attached because I'm honestly can't be fucked with people when I'm single. But then I just remembered that Capricorns don't like people. But when we do, we live our whole life for them.
True.
I remember when I got a boyfriend at uni, I went around his student house and it was literally a white box room with a bed in it and a few pairs of old socks on the floor. So that afternoon, whilst he was in lectures, I went to TK Maxx and spent like £70 on new socks and underwear for him. Then we went to the homeware store and bought him a rug, some fairy lights, a mandala wall hanging, a lamp, and some plants. Went back to his and set it all up for him as a surprise, so that when he got home from a hard day, he would have a nice room to relax in, and when he got up in the morning, he could ground himself by running his feet through the rug. He did love it, to be honest, but he was an Aries, so wasn't overly sentimental. Should have known, really, that there was a reason he only needed a bed in his room. LOL, eggplant emoji, splash of water emoji.
Oh.
What I love the most about his message is that, and this is where the securely attached thing is being subliminally said, she didn't do it so she could hang in his house more with him, or she didn't do it so he can hang her alone and not come to her place. She did it so he could enjoy his life.
Yes. And you know what's also securely attached about that message from that AR listener? When he or she said, he wasn't overly sentimental about it, but that's because he's an Aries. Whereas an insecure attached person would say, he's not overly sentimental about that. That's because I am fundamentally bad and he's not into me. And an avoidant attachment person would say, he's not overly sentimental about this gift that I've given him. Fuck him. I'm better than him. What an idiot. Like, he's beneath me. Thank you, next. So I think it's what an amazing insight into a securely attached person. And unfortunately, I have to take to the internet to connect with these people because I don't seem to know them in my life. Wonderful, though. And
there were other people that said they are securely attached. And yeah, it's beautiful to know you're there, somewhere in the US and in the UK. Never met a securely attached person in Israel and not in Australia yet. But they do exist, so good for you guys.
Good for you. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us yet again. I know we've covered a lot, and it's probably a lot to process, so ground yourself, do what you need to do. And if you are not a celebrity and you can't make your own reality TV show to tell the world that you exist as a human being, think about all the other ways or all the other tools that you have to tell the world that your story matters, you do exist. And if you want to, take my eyeballs emoji thing and make that viral, all power to you. You're most welcome to.
Please. And if you want Astrology Rose stickers, we still have some. So you can message us and we'll send them to you. And if they're not going to tell your new story, but maybe they will make you feel a little bit better.
Yeah, and they'll promote our story.
Exactly. Win-win for everyone. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week on Astrology Rose.